AITA for hiding from my mill and pretending not to be home.
Using a throwaway because I have family who read this sub. I, 32F, had a baby 8 weeks ago and since then my mill has had a habit of popping by without calling first. I have anxiety at the best of times but it's a bit worse right now, and when she comes over, particularly when my husband is at work and not there to mediate, I find her constant stream of advice and thinly veiled criticism. Example, looking intently at the floor while saying, "You must not have a vacuum cleaner. I'll bring one next time I'm over," to be just too much to handle. Both my husband and I have asked that she call before coming over but she brushes it off, saying that family shouldn't have to call. Last week I was having a rough day and was tired as the baby had been up in the night more than usual. I looked out the bedroom window to see my mill walking through the front gate and I honestly wanted to cry. I'm not proud of it, but I sat on the floor of the bedroom ignoring the doorbell until she went away. I felt really bad after, because she doesn't drive and I knew it would have taken her a 20-minute bus ride to get to our house, just to have to turn around and go back. Apparently she called my husband at work to let him know that she tried to visit me, because he called home to see if everything was okay, and I told him she must have come while I was out with the baby for a walk, because I didn't want to admit that I had hidden from his mother. That evening when he got home he noticed that the baby's stroller was in the corner with the diaper bag in it, as he'd left it the previous day, so he figured out I hadn't taken the baby for a walk after all. I admitted that I hadn't answered the door for his mom even though I was home, and he said that he knows she can be difficult, but that it was still a nah move to make her spend 40 minutes on transit to not even see me or her grandchild. He brought it up a couple of times over the holidays, just to me. He didn't tell her, and now I feel like maybe I did something really awful. Edit. I know this isn't an advice sub, but regardless the comments and messages I have received have been lovely and have really helped a lot. So thank you, so much. Anti-A. Mill needs to learn boundaries. I don't care who you are, if you don't reschedule your visit with me, I have no obligation to be home. Especially as you are a new mom. What an overwhelming time. You should not be subject to her passive-aggressive comments. If your husband feels bad his mom wasted time on public transit, he should really have a conversation with her about not showing up without an invitation to do so. That way she doesn't continue to waste her time on public transit, because I wouldn't budge on this. Good luck, mama.
NTA. You have your own boundaries and she crossed them. You don't have to answer the door to anyone you don't want to. And especially if that said person is causing you extreme anxiety. On another note, you should definitely talk to your husband about how you're feeling and how your mill is worsening your anxiety. You don't have to suffer alone. NTA. And I would tell your husband you will do that each and every time she comes by without calling and getting your expressed permission going forward. It's completely unacceptable for her to show up in anyone's house without calling and confirming they are okay with it, especially that of a new mother. Beyond that, I would maybe start responding to her passive-aggressive comments bluntly. In your example, I would say, "Great, then when you bring a vacuum, you can vacuum next time I agree for you to come over. That's such a great gift, Mill, for you to willingly vacuum our home." Quote. Alternatively, you can say, "I would appreciate no comments about the state of my house, especially when I did not agree to you coming over."
Overall, get your husband to be aware you will do this going forward, and he should let his mother know that is the course of action that you both will be doing.
NTA. She has to call before coming. The fact that she sat in the bus for 40 minutes without seeing her grandchild is her own problem. NTA. It's extremely rude to keep stopping by without asking. You should come to her house at a very bad time for her. Like very early morning or while she is busy. And say that family shouldn't have to call to come over. Does your husband help with the baby at night? NTA. I'm so sorry you're being put through this. Your mill needs to learn boundaries. The fact is that your husband should have your back. Apparently he has talked to her. It didn't work. Guess what? Maybe that 40-minute ride will make her think twice. If you can't talk to her face to face, maybe write a text or a letter. Tell her, in the nicest way possible, that you're not really up for company. I say to be nice because at the end of the day, you're married to her son. But make your boundaries clear. If you're not up for company, you won't be answering the door. You're entitled this courtesy. Also, if you're not feeling okay, I hope you can reach out to family or friends that can be supportive. I'm sure there are a lot of forums out there too for people in your situation. Good luck and know your feelings are valid. NTA. You do not owe it to answer the door to anyone you did not specifically invite. You don't even need to hide or pretend you aren't there. You can straight up ignore them entirely. That said, you are an adult. You get to make your own choices and do not owe anyone an explanation or excuse for anything. No is a complete sentence. You get to order your mill to leave. That is perfectly fine. Your husband needs to get his mother in line. NTA. You need to sit your husband down and be clear that you're not entertaining his mom unless she asks to come over. NTA. Your husband needs to lay down the law with her. It doesn't matter that she wasted time on public transit. That's her fault for not having the decency to call and ask first. Looking intently at floor while saying, "You must not have a vacuum cleaner." The appropriate response to this is, FCK off. Quote, you are NTA. You did not make your mill spend 40 minutes on public transit. She chose to do that herself. You asked her to call before coming over. She chose not to respect that request. I'm not sure it's especially good for you in the long run to hide from your mill, because of the guilt you'll feel. But right now you need to take care of yourself, your baby, and your peace of mind in your own home. You may feel less guilt if you and your husband talk with your mill again using an if-then formula. As in, if you drop by without calling and I'm not open to receiving visitors, then I will not be answering the door. We don't want you spending time and money on the bus, so if you call before you plan to come, then I can tell you whether that plans works for us. NTA. Talk to your husband again and get him on side, as what she is doing is unacceptable. He needs to tell his mother to back the hell off and not to come over unannounced. He says it was an move to not answer the door after a 40-minute trip. But it's a mega asshole move to keep on coming over unannounced after being asked not to. She's only difficult because he's letting her get away with it. If he won't tell her, then tell him that you will have to and you won't sugarcoat it. Then tell her straight up that she has to call ahead to ask to come, or you will not be answering the door, and follow through on that. Perhaps you can get a camera so you can see who is coming before you answer the door. You need to shine your spine and set this boundary hard, or you will never get any peace. Congrats on your new arrival and stay strong. Hugs. You're not obliged to answer your front door to anyone regardless of the circumstances. She brushes it off, saying that family shouldn't have to call. Well, maybe she should call so she's never in the situation that she has a 40-minute wasted bus journey. She chose to set off of her own volition without having the courtesy to check that a visit was suitable and you would be available. That was rude and entirely her own fault. She has no one else to blame for that but herself for this wasted journey. You are trying to set a perfectly reasonable boundary. Your husband needs to insist on this with his mother. You owe your mill nothing. NTA. Sweet mama heart, don't waste another moment second guessing how you feel. It doesn't even seem like she gives a damn about helping you, and that's unacceptable. All of our kids and my parents have a key to our home, and they have never once just popped in. We also have keys to their home and show the same respect. I couldn't imagine not respecting my kids' boundaries in any capacity. Your mill is disrespectful on so many levels. Your husband needs to get that handled ASAP. It's not her home and it's not her life. She needs checked, not only about popping in but also her nasty comments to you. She sucks and your husband should be demanding better from her. I hope you see all of the support and encouragement on these posts for you. NTA. I don't have a baby and sometimes I don't answer the door if someone comes over unannounced. I think it's rude to just show up. Now add that you have a new baby and are exhausted. It's even worse. NTA. She needs to call first. It's an move to show up on someone's doorstep and then start criticizing them. I would tell your husband you'll keep ignoring her until she learns to call first. NTA. It's the only way she'll learn to call. Think of it as an exercise in parenting. NTA. She wasn't invited and she can't just pop by unexpected like that. You have things to do. And entertaining annoying and unwanted guests is not one of them. NTA. Your husband needs to enforce these boundaries. I live very close to my parents and my sister. We all have keys to each other's homes. Not once in the course of adulthood have any of us dropped by without calling and checking first. In decades. Even if it's to drop off a present or a surprise dinner or whatever. NTA. He needs to step up and make her stop.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.